So as somewhat of a die-hard Paramore fan that's listened to every single album more times than I can count at this point, lately I've been starting to wonder which one of those albums was their magnum opus. Now the answer to that could simply be that there isn't one, and that all of their albums are great in their own way. And while that's totally true, I really wanted to make the argument for just one. I truly do believe that there isn't a bad Paramore album, and they have so many different styles that it's kind of hard to pinpoint one as being the best. They all bring a different sound to the table. They all have their own charm, and they all offer something unique that the other albums don't. I have seen some others say that they think that it's Brand New Eyes, and I do think that there's an argument for it. You had all 5 members still in the band just doing what they do best. And yeah, they did hate each other, but it made the lyrics that much more real. It's kind of like Riot, but the songwriting's a bit more mature, and I would say the track list is a little more diverse. I want to say 5 or so years ago, I probably would have agreed. And for a long time, I did consider that album to be their best. As I've grown more and as the album has grown more on me, I've started to believe that their magnum opus is After Laughter. For the many circumstances around the album alone, all the drama, Jeremy Davis leaving the band, and there just being so much uncertainty about the future of the band. Was there even still a band? I mean, at one point, Hayley Williams had privately left the band due to going through a divorce and suffering from depression, and that left Taylor York as the only member for a moment. She even said in an interview that there was doubts that she could ever write an album better than the self-titled, and there was several times where Hayley and Taylor almost disbanded Paramore completely and started a new band. Probably would have called it Paraless or something, but they were just so sick and tired of all the constant drama that plagued Paramore for years. They were at their lowest low. And by logic, they really shouldn't have made it through this time period, but they did, miraculously. And they were even able to get Zach Farrell back in the band. They now had their comeback, and they took a huge risk by changing their sound entirely for it. They needed to nail it, and they did. Songs like 26, Grudges, and Pool have all become some of my favorite Paramore songs of all time. I feel like a lot of songs on here really stick to me long term in terms of relatability because of just how mature they are. Subjects like not holding on to grudges and holding on to hope stick with me a lot more than some of the topics on their other albums. That just does something to me. That just does something to me. They really pulled off the transition from pop punk to this 80s synth pop kind of sound just so flawlessly, but it still felt like a Paramore album. Hayley's vocals are so amazing. I love the contrast between how upbeat the instrumental is and then how very dark the lyrics really are. Taylor York just does Taylor York things, and Zach was so key here to really make this a great album. His addition to this record is very noticeable and made it 10 times better. The writing is the most honest and vulnerable it's ever been, and there's just a level of maturity and growth that the other albums just simply don't have. It's really just leaps above any of their previous work to this point. It talks about depression accurately and not in a way that romanticizes it. When I'd first heard this record, it was during a time where I was starting to kind of first get feelings of depression. Like, it was really starting to hit me a lot, and so this album felt like a comfort album. I was like, oh wow, she's talking about things that I relate to, like I'm not alone. And that was really so important for me at that time, to have music like this. It's just an album that completely wears its heart on its sleeve. At times it makes you want to cry and then dance, and then you want to cry even harder while dancing even harder at the same time. And isn't that what music is really all about? It's like Hayley Williams just ripped herself open and just left all of her guts on this record. And after everything that she and the band had been through, she needed to. And this was the record that very much saved Paramore. The fact that it even exists is the sole reason why I think that it's their magnum opus. I find myself going back to it now more than any other album. Compared to all of their other albums, it's like such a standout. And knowing the whole story and knowing everything that it took to get this album out, and the fact that it turned out so beautiful, it makes it such an emotional listen to me. It proved that no matter what they're going through, no matter what they sound like, one thing remains true, and that's that Paramore is a band, and they always will be.